Welcome to Legends in Leadership, brought to you by ISF and the Carrington Group. Legends in Leadership is an inspirational podcast featuring the stories of leaders who are making a difference. Our goal is to inspire you with the stories of leaders who come from humble beginnings, overcome challenges, and ultimately rise up to make a difference in people's lives.
Well, welcome to Legends in Leadership, our first show of the new year. My name is Jason Smith. I'm your host for today. I'm a family officer with the Carrington Group, and joined by my co-hosts, Dr. Blair Ritchie, Executive Director of the International Student Foundation, and Tyler Tallman, my partner at Carrington and also a family officer. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy 2020.
Happy New Year. It's good to be back in the studio. Getting ready for a big guest today. Great guest.
Yeah, it seemed like a month since we've done this show. 3 weeks? Has it been 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks.
Yeah, so glad to be back. And Dr. Blair, what do you have for us for our first trivia of the year?
Well, I have a famous presidential birthday for today. Born on this day, one of the most fascinating leaders in American history. He summed up his humble beginnings by once saying, "We grew up poor, but the glory of it was that we didn't know it." Great statement. Mm-hmm. After graduating from Duke University Law School, he dabbled a bit in amateur acting, where he met his actress wife. Even though he was a strong Quaker, he became a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy. He would enter politics at the encouragement of some friends and masterfully navigated successful campaigns for both houses of Congress, the vice presidency, and became one of the few leaders to have both lost and won a presidential campaign. His years in the White House were marked by some of the most significant achievements, both internationally and domestically, but unfortunately they were overshadowed by the events that made him the only president to walk away from the office. Here's my favorite quote, leadership quote from this leader. Our guest's going to love this one. "Defeat doesn't finish a man. Quit does. A man is not finished when he's defeated. He's finished when he quits."
That's
Who
good.
is this legendary leader born on this day 107 years ago? A little bit of a softball for you guys to start with.
Yep.
Be back at the end of the show with the answer.
All right. Well, I think it's appropriate that our first guest of the new year, as folks are making their resolutions, is a wellness and lifestyle expert.
Yes.
So, Donna Richardson Joyner is a best-selling author and international motivational speaker and renowned wellness expert who has traveled to 50 states, 50 countries, and 6 continents to help people become healthier in mind, body, and spirit. Donna continues to empower, educate, and energize women to make their impossible possible. And her Donnamite Show, Rome Magazine, and also have a focus on wellness and travel. Donna is the only council member appointed by President Bush and President Obama to serve on the President's Council for Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. And she's also an ambassador for First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative. She's a contributor for CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, TBN, and other networks, and has lectured and conducted seminars at schools, community centers, churches, corporations, universities, and the center stage around the globe. She was included into the National Fitness Hall of Fame and was named by Essence Magazine one of 25 of the most inspiring women in America, and numerous other accolades that we'd like to dive into more in conversation. So welcome to our first show.
Hard-working woman.
That's right. Well, and what jumps out to me for someone who's accomplished so much and still has so much energy to accomplish more is I'm always curious about what started that fire, and going back to some of the early days of your childhood, and who inspired you?
Wow, when I think back to my childhood, I was a shy kid, and my parents put me in sports because they thought that will definitely give her more confidence and, more just self-worth and self-value, and it did. I played softball, track and field, gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, swimming, and I think that combination of all of that taught me to be stronger in myself and have faith not just in God but in myself, but also to learn about being a team player as well. So you add all those skill sets, and it just kind of molded me and rounded me to be the best person I could be. And I think it also taught me about leadership, because I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I was in home economics, and you know how you learn how to cook and crochet and knit and all that good stuff.
We used to, right?
Yeah, they don't have that anymore. But we wish that they did.
Yeah.
So I was really good at sewing and crocheting and knitting. And so by the time I got in 4th grade, I don't know where all this confidence came from sports. I went to my parents and said, I don't think you pay me enough in my allowance, so I want to start my own business. And I'm going to start Donna Richardson's Crocheting Specialties. And they're like, and what you going to do? So I like, you all, you work for government, you work for private industry. We're at, we have an amazing church, and there's a few little stores in our community. You go get the orders, and then I'll fulfill them. And from 4th grade to about 11th grade, I have my own crocheting and knitting business.
Wow.
And it was thriving. Like, that little bit of money they pay me, it was nothing. It was pennies. And then once I got, I think in 11th grade, things change. You're a cheerleader, you're dating, and you want to go and have fun and party. And they'd call me up and go, Donna, we're getting ready to go to this big event and blah, blah, blah. And I go, I got to finish this knitting project. So that was not cool, and I just cold turkey stopped. So I think my parents were definitely the first role models for me, for sure. But I think as I went to college, and I went to an all-girls university called Hollins College in Roanoke, Virginia, and they really instilled in us that it didn't matter what you wanted to do. You could become anything. You could do anything. And I stayed there for 2.5 years, and then I transferred to American University, and I got an opportunity to go in business. Didn't finish. I probably had maybe a half a semester left and just went for it and never looked back. But I can honestly say that my mindset at that time was, I'm sure, when I think back 30 years ago, you know how you have your plan? You're like, I'm going to do this. I've got this opportunity in health and fitness. Let me go for it. But then along the way, I had to get quiet, because I'm like, God has a plan for me, And then as I was starting that journey, I was young, I was naive, self-absorbed, probably feeling entitled. But life teaches you lessons. And from those experiences and challenges and setbacks, I had to learn to decrease me and increase him. And then I thought about, as I was starting this journey in health and wellness, I got advice from everybody. This is their opinion of what I should do, how I should talk, what I should pursue. And you really got to get quiet and know what is in your heart. What are you passionate about? What is your purpose in life for? And then I look back and I go, wow, when I started this journey 30 years ago, I starred in the Buns of Steel videos. And now I got Buns of ARP. And it's all good. So I've learned so much along the way, but I had really, really humble beginnings. Like, people see the final product, but they don't see the work that goes into it. They don't know that, when I had a studio, there were times when the cleaning people didn't come. I had to clean the toilets and sinks and showers. There were times when the instructors wouldn't show up. I may have had to teach 6 classes in one day. And then there's retail. You have to know that there's a system that you have to put in check as much as you can to tighten that system so people won't steal.
Right.
So this is at age 26, and there would be, different activities and celebrations to go to, but I couldn't because I was running a business. So you make those sacrifices. And I even remember, I was dating at the time, and one time I was coming out my house and had the car running, forgot to do something, went back in the house, and then I come back out and my car is being repossessed.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you go through things like that. Or one time I went away on a trip and I came back and all of these reporters were sitting in my yard, and I was like, well, what happened? They're like, so tell us about the scandal. And I'm like, what scandal? Well, come to find out, somebody had taken my fitness video, right? And they had then made it a sex video.
Oh, gosh.
So you saw me working out, hi, and I'm stepping aerobics, and then they would have like sex in between.
Oh, no.
And so this mom pop shop in Washington, D.C., I guess they, edited and put it together. And my cousin happened to be in the store and said, oh, this is my cousin's video. Let me go home and check it out. And he was like,
no.
Oh, gosh.
cousin, do you have a new career?
Oh, no.
And then obviously you sue them, but they're a small company. What are you going to do? But
And the
just
damage
the
at
damage,
that point is
because
done.
I had a great image. I worked hard, and people trusted the name and the brand. And all of a sudden now I'm connected to a sex scandal.
Right.
And so you have to go through, I mean, it's public too. That's the other thing. I wasn't prepared for that. But then you learn that, no matter what comes at you, you've got to be prepared to have, don't change who you are. You have your integrity, you have your character, and you always want to take the high road. Even though that was negative, it's how I responded to it, how I react to it that makes the difference. And I learned along the way, don't react. It's going to be emotional, and it's not going to be the right response. So just be quiet, and then make sure whatever your solution is, it's the best for you and how you want to handle that situation. So there were a lot of like low points for me when, I think back to, when I was dating at that time and running the business, he didn't want to travel. So I'm going around the world by myself. And then I learned that it's okay, because I need to be out there educating and motivating and spreading the gospel of health and wellness. And even if my partner was not going to make this journey together, I had to say, you know what? There's a greater assignment for me, and I'm going to do it no matter what. So I learned to go and give as much as I could in terms of helping people, because I worked with a lot, reluctant, a lot. People that were poor, with nothing. People that had a lot of money, but not a good attitude, right? So it was a mixture of things that got me here, but I realized too, you can't depend on people. I was depending on the boyfriend, I was depending on the friend or the parents, and I had to cover my own butt.
So when you come from humble beginnings and you're building and you've got this relentless focus, was there a time when you could kind of maybe take a peek from the 30,000 foot level and say, I'm getting somewhere. I can see this building. I can see turning the corner, the light at the end of the tunnel, to what that vision was? Right.
Well, I think along the way, you always have the peaks and valleys in your life. But at some point, and I can say one of the life-changing points for me was when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That happened to be, a year before I got divorced. Didn't know. Maybe knew a little bit. But that's another conversation. So I trained 3 of us to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I'm telling you guys, it was one of the most mental, spiritual, physical, most challenging I had ever done before in my life, because it's a 9-day journey, 7 days up, 2 days down. And you're out in the wilderness. And the 4 of us are there with each other no matter what, through thick and thin. And it was like maybe 90 degrees when we started. But when we got to the top, oh my God, it was 0 degrees and -5 wind chill factor.
Wow.
And before we left, we saw where on Today's Show, Ann Curry was going to climb but didn't make it. Then maybe a week before we left, Martina Navratilova, she was climbing and didn't make it. So we had to, we saw it in the news, but then we were like, we're prepared, we are trained, we've done research, we're going to be successful. And so we go, and it's 90 degrees, and you're, getting there. At the first day, I get sick from the medication that they have for acclimation and whatever else that you have to take. So if I hadn't gotten well in a day, I wouldn't have been able to climb. Then as we were climbing up the mountain, the others got sick, and we had to make a decision, because it ain't like a Walmart's around the corner. So we're like, can you do this? And they're like, we're going to just fight through it. And they were just throwing up and diarrhea all night long. There were times when, we went to one of our stops at night, and there was this big group, and they were loud, and they were drinking. I'm like, who would bring wine and beer up on a mountaintop, because it dehydrates you, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, when we summit, we saw a few of them being carried down because they didn't make it. So you have to be smart about it. And then because they trashed our little campsite, that night was so challenging because you could hear the rats all around. And your tent is only this high and you got to crawl in, and it's 2 per tent. And you would have to make noise. You'd have to flash lights so those rats could scatter. And then you go out, you go to the bathroom, take care of your business, and then come back in. And so you look at that and go, okay. And then if you really want to know how challenging it can get, when we get to the top, you can't stay there long, right? You just take your picture and you're like, thank you, because the air is too thin. And we almost stayed a little too long because you start to hallucinate and you get dizzy. And so as we were coming down, I was only responsible for the handy wipes. My friend was responsible for the toilet paper. She didn't tell me we ran out.
Oh, no.
So we get to a little stop behind the bushes, and I'm like, hand me the toilet paper. Like, we don't have any more. I'm like, well, when were you going to tell us? So then our guide has to tell us what leaves to look for and use, because the last day and a half we used leaves going down. So it just makes you aware of who you are, and it really strengthens your faith in yourself, because you're going through something that will change you forever, but in the same breath, it's the unknown, it's unfamiliar, and you're relying on others. There was a point where we were having to climb straight up. Now, when I say climb, we're trekking, okay? We have our poles and we're trekking. But this, we had to take the poles and put them on our backpack and crawl up the mountain. That means no harness belt. And all I said to my group was, don't look down and don't look back. And we just found where we could put our feet and our hands in, and it took us forever. But I said to the leader, I said, how could you have this in the middle of this journey and not tell us? Because some people wouldn't have been able to do that. And if you stop there, you lose your money, it's canceled, and it's gone.
What a great statement. Don't look down, don't look back. And man, you can apply that to just about anything in your life.
Yes.
I'm curious, Donna, amazing the amount of accolades that you have. I mean, we would have to have so many shows. There's so many amazing stories. Yeah. But I feel like every leader has their big break. And you were on the council appointed by President Bush and Obama. And you worked specifically with Michelle Obama on the Let's Move initiative. So kind of tie this in for me. Where was the big break for you in your career, in your perspective? And talk a little bit about some of the things that you achieved specifically with the Let's Move initiative.
So I would say there were different periods in my journey that really made the difference. So if I look back in the very beginning, co-hosting a show on ESPN, that was huge. It came on right before Sports Center. This is when ESPN first started. So you had Tom Brown and Chris Berman. You could go all the way. I heard that all day long. But we came on, and so this was the first time you would see health and fitness shows on TV. So that was definitely one of the things that really, really changed me getting into the general market, per se, and media. But at that time, the Buns of Steel owner had one woman that he featured as his Buns of Steel person. And now they said, we need to mix this up. We want to go to the platinum Buns of Steel, and we want to look at 3 different women and 3 different personalities and spokespersons. And they saw me on that show, and I got hired for Buns of Steel. But I got Buns of ARP now, and it's still moving, and I'm still helping people. And I think it's a part of the journey that I have learned that the more people I bless, the more blessings that come back to me, which has been amazing. And so now you ask me about being on the President's Council. I think, and people go, well, how did you get to do that? I'm like, look at how much in terms of being educated, look at my experiences, look at what I've been exposed to. I deserve to be on that council. It wasn't like they went, oh, let's see.
It was a lottery ticket or something, right?
Come on, and I'm not being cocky. I just think that I've earned the right to be a public servant for our president. And I took that with great honor and great respect. And I was the only person that served on under 2 different presidents, which had not been done, and especially Republican and Democrat. I met the Obamas before they got into office, and they obviously checked my background, and they saw the good work that I'd done with President Bush, and that's how I got reelected. When I was reelected, the most amazing thing happened was being able to work with Michelle Obama. She was just awesome. I learned a lot from her. We went on road together. We'd go to churches and schools and plant gardens on top of the schools and try to change, and we did, changed nutritional programs and meals that students got. And we don't have physical education in the school system like we used to, but at least having some supplements of people coming in and providing some type of activities for kids to do. So I believe that we were agents of change in that whole fight to stop childhood obesity. Mm-hmm. I really believe there was a big dent in it because she made it her focus and made it her purpose to do. And she used a great platform as the first lady to do it. And then she had, me and others who were committed to the cause. And I have been working with kids for about 25 years with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I was a consultant with them. So it was an honor to work with her and just to learn from her. And, I would be around her, and you can't act like, oh, it's Michelle Obama. You got to be cool, right?
Yeah.
But
right.
I would become a sponge, and I'd learn everything that I possibly could with her. And all great people. That's you. When you say what has changed and what are some of the most important moments in my life, I think it's because I've been exposed to great people. Mm-hmm. My pastor is great, Bishop T.D. Jakes. Mm-hmm. I toured with him and did a lot of his events, and I learned a lot, not just from, growing spiritually, but he's an astute businessman. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to be on tour with him and learn from him, I'm like, oh my God, this is pretty awesome, pretty epic. And then I've worked with Oprah. I taught at her school for years, and even being around her, think about it. Mm-hmm. This woman is phenomenal. And I learned so much about giving back and about getting our kids, the next generation, ready. And that's why she built that school. She's building girls to be leaders for nations around the world. And I got to be a part of that journey and learn, but also grow, because it's challenging me as well. So I think it's being around great people as well. Even my former husband, he was not just a DJ, he was one of the great Black leaders in this community. And so having to see that and be a part of that for 15 years, it inspired me. It taught me what he really taught me, because I'm a public servant. He always said, no matter who you are trying to motivate or you're trying to educate so that they can live a healthier life, you have to super serve them. That's what he kept saying to me. That means you've got to make sure everybody that you're reaching out and touching, that you're giving them the best you can, because they should feel like you're trusted and that you want to work with them because you have their best interests at heart. So you just try to, with excellence, serve them to your best abilities. And that stayed with me even to this day.
So you dropped some huge names on us here of the people that have influenced you. I'm interested, what do they all have in common? I mean, they're all different personalities, they're all different people, but
right.
Was there something that was a leadership common kind of trait that you saw in Michelle,
wow.
that you saw in Oprah, that you saw in your husband, you saw in Bishop Jakes? I mean, is there any common things that stand out to you that you could say they all bang?
Visionaries, okay. Innovative, creative, just keep, they're relentless, they have tenacity, they're courageous, they just keep plugging away because they know that their goals and their assignments will impact people around the world. Mm-hmm. And so I admire that. Yeah.
It's an interesting time of the year. Everybody has their New Year's resolution, and obviously, Donna, you're more than a qualified person to talk about fitness and wellness and health. But most of these resolutions, as we know, they never last.
Right.
Inside of 30 days, people are right back into the old habits that they're used to. So what are just a couple of 2 or 3 things that you could tell folks or encourage our listeners to say, hey, here's how you stick to a New Year's resolution?
Wow. Okay, so I have what I call, and this works for any resolution. It could be you going back to school or you wanting to get a job promotion, but let's just talk about health. The first one is courage. You got to be courageous about this. This ain't for, if you want change to happen, you got to go for it. And it ain't going to happen just by chance or osmosis. So you got to be courageous and you just got to go for it. The other C is choices. you have to make better choices. Because a lot of people, after 30 days, you're developing a new habit. And if you're not going to make better choices every day, you'll fall back into the bad habit.
Right.
And so, by Valentine's Day, people have fallen off the wagon. So you have to make a way, not an excuse, if you want to accomplish that goal. Mm-hmm. The other C is change. You have to want to change more than you want to stay the same. Think about that. Mm-hmm. You have to want to change more than you want to stay the same. When you change your mindset, everything else follows that. Mm-hmm. But until you change that, everything stays exactly the same. I remember, my pastor said, you must eat from the garden of your own thoughts. So don't grow anything you don't want to eat. Mm. Because sometimes we sabotage our own self, and it's because of how we think. And if you continue to feed yourself with negative things and negative people, you already are not setting yourself up for success. Every day, you got to keep changing this thought process, because when you change what you think, you'll change your actions. And then the other C is commit. You cannot conquer what you're not committed to moving forward. Mm. So every day, you gotta work it. Every day you're making choices. What do I eat? Every day you're making choices. What am I gonna do in terms of physical activity? Mm-hmm. Every day you're making choices of, it's not just about the exterior. Let me just say this, because I've trained a lot of folks. I want you to be a better person. And it starts from the interior. Like, I don't want to train someone and I get you looking like you got a six-pack, you got your guns, looking, but you got an ugly spirit or a bad attitude, because that's what people are going to see. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to, it's not just the exterior that I think people have to focus on. It's you becoming a better person. Like, who are you at the core being of who you are? Like, having a good soul and a great spirit. That's a part of total wellness or well-being. So I think too much is focused on how you look and not how you feel and how you want to be the best that you can be. And then the last C is you got to connect. When I say connect, meaning you have to reach out to people who can help you reach your goals. If you're trying to work out, and I don't mean no disrespect, but you wouldn't go to a fat trainer and say, train me. Right? I mean, there's people that are full-figured and healthy, but I'm just saying, you have to make sure that you surround yourself with people who are going to be encouraging and motivating. Sometimes your friends may not be on the same mindset of you in terms of your goals, so you can't let them stop you. Like, you'll start off and say, we're going to meet at the gym. Well, if they don't show up, that doesn't give you an excuse not to come either. Mm-hmm. You still got to be there, because this is your body. You only get one. It ain't like you can trade this body in for a newer model, right? Yeah. So you got to take the best care of it. And even if someone else decides, oh, I'm not going to work out today, or, oh, I'm not going to eat healthy, you have to be responsible for you. So I always say connect, and I always believe there is a higher power. For me, it's God. And I actually sit there and I write a little covenant with him that says, I'm going to be a better steward at taking care of my body, which is my temple.
Mm. Huge.
So with so much going on in your world, how is it that you stay inspired? What keeps you encouraged and with such high energy to continue to be this relentless person that you are?
Wow, that's a big question. You know what I would say? I enjoy the essence of who I am. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy the experiences of life. I still like things, but I do love the idea of being in the moment and having that experience. To me, it's like my experiences and my exposure has made me a better person. Like, I can only grow and evolve unless I have those experiences continue to happen.
Right.
So they've been an ingrained part of my identity now. So I try to focus when I'm talking to people in general, not just about taking care of yourself, but about exposing yourself, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, outside what you know, so that you can learn more about other people and experience other cultures and do other things. We kind of get stuck sometimes, and we go, all right, I'm gonna stay right here on Easy Street.
Right.
Well, you'll never, ever get past being able to pursue your goals if you stay where it is comfortable. You gotta push and persevere and say, I want to, but then if you're around others who don't have that same kind of attitude, you can't allow them to stop you from where you're going.
Yeah, it's easier to settle.
Exactly.
When there's sort of a group of people who have already settled.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just got to go, you know what, I want to do this, and you just have to go for it. And granted, I have not always been successful at everything. Like, I tried the tiny house and I had a fashion boutique in it. But then I realized, hey, you can't just have one. You better have a franchise of them. And so guess what I learned? My business plan was only for 2 years. I should have done a business plan for 5 to 10. But it was a great experience, and I learned from it.
Yeah.
And now, it prepares me for a new business that I am doing. But it's life lessons that I just enjoy, and just enjoy meeting and learning from other people. Like, even being here, I have automatically tried to see, what can I learn from you, Jason, and what can I learn from you? So it's like we learn from each other, and it makes us more richer and more fulfilled in our life. So I believe that unless you stay with an open heart or open mind, you won't grow. Yeah. You will stay right where you are, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, to wrap up, curious
right,
what kind
Dr.
of...
Blair? He's looking at me like, you're really intense here. Yeah.
I'm still thinking about, I enjoy the essence of who I am. I love that statement, by the way. I'm still working on that one. The world would be a better place, I think, if everybody just enjoyed the essence of who they were.
Well, I think we try to be other people, and we try to, society always puts this pressure on us to look a certain way, talk a certain way, be. You got to start with just loving who you are.
Amen.
And even during the challenges of my life, like when I wasn't succeeding in whatever it was that I was trying to accomplish, you get down on yourself. But I kept saying, train your mind to be stronger than your feelings, and you'll get over it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because we're emotional people. Yeah. But if I can train my mind to be stronger than those feelings, trust me, I'll get past that, because it's just a little stage in my life. Then it'll propel me to the next stage and the next goal. So I think that's probably what I could share the most with. Yes.
Well, we want to get a preview of what the next business venture is. You shared a little teaser with us.
Oh, yeah. So here I am, the health and fitness expert, right? And I've been traveling the world helping folks, and now I'm going to have a food product. And it's my mama's recipe, from recipe to retail, her fried chicken and waffles. So you'll be able to take it home and make it yourself. And when I tell you it's good, oh my gosh. It's like, what made it so exciting for me, because food industry I'm learning about is this really stretching outside my comfort zone. I decided, this is a legacy being passed down. Mm-hmm. This is meaningful. This is purposeful. I get to then pass it on to the next generation and the next generation. How come really, that to me is the most amazing opportunity to have. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that it's successful. And it's with my mama. She's almost 80 years old. And my mom dances when she cooks, and she drops it like it's hot, but it's really dipping for the Lord, she says. And so we get to dance, and we get to cook, and we get to bond. And we just want to show other families that we miss that now, because a lot of times we're using technology and we're not bonding with each other. We're not having talks with each other. No, we're not spending quality time with each other. Well, think back how we were raised, you guys. It was around that food table. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Mm-hmm. We had quality time with each other. Now I can see people at a restaurant, and everybody is like, and they go like this, and then go back. Like, oh my God, we've lost that human connection, that bond. And so I'm hoping with this Southern food, this will bring us back together, and we can enjoy it. And no, we ain't gonna worry about the calories.
Moderation, right?
Moderation. But it's about that human. I'm so excited. I'm like a cheerleader for the human experience, because that is what it's all about when it comes down to the end of the day. I want to be able to help people, and I want to be able to have an exchange with people, and for us to grow and make a difference in this country and in this world. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
It's not just about me or you. This is bigger than us. Wouldn't you all agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we'll definitely volunteer ourselves for a taste test follow-up podcast.
We've already agreed to it. We're going to do an off-site taste test.
Tyler has come up with this. We're going to get together for a fried chicken and waffle party.
Yes.
And Dr. Blair and Jason, you all are going to be there, right?
Absolutely.
And our friends here at Real News, they're going to come, and they're going to film the whole thing. It's going to be great. I'm telling you, I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is really cool, because, I'm a little nervous. I'm going to tell you that when you're doing something you've never done before, you do get a little fear. Mm-hmm. But I have to let my faith trump my fear. And I've never stopped being, courageous at going after what I want. But this is big. This is like, this ain't no little, mom pop deal we're talking about. This
we're
is
going to cheerlead
big.
with you.
So I appreciate you all wanting to come and celebrate with me.
Yeah.
And also I want to just say thank you for having me, because I'm your first guest and your first 2020 show. Yeah. I feel really special. So I really want to just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having me. I'm very excited about us coming back together for the party.
Yeah.
And I just want to say to those who are out there that no matter what age, no matter where you are in your life, I'm 57, my mom is 80. We're starting a business. You can do it.
Yeah.
And don't let anything or anybody stop you from doing what you know in your heart and what God has given you to do. Because what he has for you is for you. Can nobody else take it or, copy it? It is yours. And so you got to go out there and just go for it and do it.
Well, we appreciate you having on the show today. And what a fantastic message to start the year with and encourage
All
our
right,
audience.
so are we ready? Let's get up and let's get a little warm up in. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Get up. What are y'all doing? Look, push. Do something. Come on. It's exercise. Come on.
We've got a trivia question we got to answer.
We're getting the wrap-up signal from our producer.
Okay. They're like, Donna, go ahead, but we're going to...
There's stairs right outside. We'll hit the stairs right after we're done.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Blair, what do you have for us on Trivia for
so
today?
you got an actor from California who became a president.
I know the answer,
softball
but
with,
it's
the only president to resign.
That's the curve. That's the curve.
Is it?
See, that's the curve.
It's been in our local news today too. The scandal. It's Richard Nixon.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
Richard Nixon. There was a lot of talk about impeachment, but I always thought it was interesting when I started reading this about a California actor who became president. I always thought, well, that's got to be Reagan, right? No, it wasn't. Nixon was actually an actor.
So was his famous quote before or after he resigned the
Yeah, I
presidency?
know. I have to look at the date on that thing, but it's still a great quote.
It is, absolutely.
A great quote.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's a wrap for our episode today. We appreciate you listening in and remind you of this. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader.
I love that.
Legends
Come on.
in Leadership is brought to you by the Carrington Group. Carrington Group is a family office with a passion for helping business leaders and their families make smart choices and fulfill their highest aspirations. To learn more about the Carrington Group, visit their website at www.carringtonfo.com or Google Carrington Group, Dallas, Texas. ISF is committed to leadership development for aged-out foster care and orphaned youth. ISF's mission is to transform these youth into tomorrow's leaders with scholarships, mentoring, and leadership training. To learn more about ISF, visit their website at isfsite.org or Google International Student Foundation to learn more.
Securities offered through Regulus Advisors, LLC. Member FINRA/SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Regal Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors are affiliated entities. Carrington Group and this broadcast are independent of Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors.